Good evening, you're watching News Mongolian World. I'm your host, Ulaanbaatar. And for top stories, Indian Defense Minister Rajnath Singh visits Mongolia. Gobi Wolf 2022 US Mongolian disaster relief exercise commences. Students received the President's Award for achievements at International Olympiads. And for the news, stay tuned. Indian Defense Minister Rajnath Singh visited Mongolia from September 5th to 7th at the invitation of Mongolian Minister of Defense Ulaanbaatar. During his official visit, the ministers discussed future cooperation in defense.
Under a memorandum signed between the two countries, the Cybersecurity Training Center was opened at Mongolian National Defense University. The defense ministers of India and Mongolia attended the opening ceremony. The two sides expressed their willingness to enhance cooperation in defense and security through mutual visits at all levels of military personnel, interministerial consultations, and joint training and peacekeeping exercises. Minister Singh also met with Mongolian President Hurusukh. They discussed the possibility of shifting the strategic partnership between India and Mongolia to a comprehensive partnership. Their discussion also revolved around the Indian-Mongolian cooperation on Mongol refinery, defense, cybersecurity, education, the airline industry, and tourism. During a meeting with Parliament Speaker Zandan Shatar, Minister Singh mentioned his first visit to Mongolia as Interior Minister of India and said he was happy to be visiting Mongolia again. He highlighted that Mongolia is considered an intellectual neighbor to India and a strategic third neighbor.
The Gobi Wolf disaster relief exercise organized by the National Emergency Management Agency and U.S. Army Pacific kicked off on September 6 in Baihangul Province. The exercise will continue for 6 days.
The Gobi Wolf exercise has been held since 2012 to ensure disaster preparedness and prompt response at times of unexpected natural disasters.
In recent years, the frequency and intensity of earthquakes have been increasing in Mongolia. Now it's time to focus on ensuring earthquake preparedness and response not only in the capital city, but in the provinces as well.
Officials claim that Gobi Wolf has significantly contributed to developing disaster preparedness guidelines, heightening readiness, and improving the skills of relief workers. Several years ago, NEMA cooperated with the U.S. Forest Service to conduct systematic training on emergency management systems. A NEMA official emphasized that, thanks to this training, Mongolia operated effectively in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Gobi Wolf 2022 focused on eliminating earthquake-caused damages and effective response measures. The exercise is a multilateral humanitarian assistance and disaster relief engagement between the U.S. Army Pacific, the Government of Mongolia, multilateral regional partners, and international humanitarian response organizations and agencies.
The President's Award was given to students who brought home medals from International Science Olympiads.
In 2022, 23 students participated in international Olympiads in math, chemistry, and biology. 17 students earned medals and 2 students received special prizes. On Monday, President Hurusukh presented these students and their instructors with President's Awards. The gold, silver, and bronze medalists received cash prizes of 10, 8, and 5 million turuk, respectively. The special prize winners received 3 million turuk. The organizing committee for the National Science Olympiads also received 10 million turuk to support their work.
This year, I won gold at the State Math Olympiad. Then I participated in the International Math Olympiad in Norway and received a silver medal. The State Chemistry Olympiad and the International Chemistry Olympiad were the largest competitions I've ever participated in. I won bronze medals at both this year.
This year, I participated in the International Biology Olympiad and received a bronze medal. I think reading is important when studying biology.
Students who receive medals at international Olympiads often gain access to study at the world's top 100 universities. This year's Olympiad winners also became eligible for the President's Message 2100 scholarship program initiated by President Hurusukh.
The General Agency for Specialized Inspection and the Ministry of Education reviewed the certification of secondary school and kindergarten teachers and administrators. They reviewed 59,000 diplomas and found 729 violations.
70% of the fraudulent diplomas were submitted by primary school and kindergarten teachers. The teachers and administrators with fake credentials have been fired.
Сургуулийн өмнөх боловсролын сургуулийн бакалаврын
The education sector must be clean and transparent. As Minister of Education, I believe that allowing these teachers with fraudulent diplomas to handle our children's future is unacceptable. We are officially apologizing for the over 700 teachers with fraudulent diplomas working in the education sector up until today. These cases should be thoroughly investigated.
бол 139 ийм зөрчлүүд байна.
There were also cases of fraud committed by school administrators. The college gave master's diplomas to 20 students who never had studied there.
Ямар хүрээ хязгаарыг хамарсан бэ?
As a result of the inspection, cases of fraud with criminal intent were detected. The 724 fraudulent certificates are now being transferred to the next legal review stage under the criminal code.
Энэ шалгалтын маань үр дүнд
The use of fake diplomas is considered a crime committed with intent. During the inspection process, Ministry of Education hard drives and documents were lost, which is now being investigated by police. The ministry also plans to review certificates and diplomas at other educational institutions and among civil servants.
Thank you for staying with us. Now let's take a look at the currency exchange rates provided by Mongol Bank. There are 35,000 regular blood donors in Mongolia. Health experts point out that frequent blood donation benefits the physical and mental health of the donor.
Research suggests that regularly donating blood reduces the risk of cardiovascular disease and communicable diseases by 90% for some donors. Regular blood donation also has a positive effect on mental health. Mental health is as important as physical health these days. Actually, blood donation positively affects the donor's mental well-being. It also regulates iron in the body. We have also learned that blood donors live longer and stay youthful. It also helps people maintain a healthy weight. According to the World Health Organization, if 1 in every 3 citizens is a donor, a country's blood supply will be sufficient. Mongolia doesn't meet this indicator, but officials plan to reach that goal within 3 years.
In Ulaanbaatar, blood donors make up 1.8% of the population. In the provinces, it's 0.5%, and the state average is 1.1%. These statistics are below recommendations, but we'll include the goal in our mind midterm strategic plan. We hope to reach 1.5% in the next 3 years.
The National Center for Transfusion Medicine is focusing on increasing the number of blood donors in the provinces, as the number of surgeries and medical procedures is growing and donor blood is in high demand. There are currently 15,000 regular blood donors in the provinces.
Here's the international news from our partner agencies. The final suspect in a stabbing rampage that killed 10 people in and around a Canadian Indigenous reserve died after his car was run off the road by police Wednesday, following a 3-day manhunt, officials said. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police said Miles Sanderson, 32, was located near the town of Rosther in Saskatchewan at about 3:30 p.m. local time, an RCMP statement said. An official familiar with the matter said Sanderson's vehicle was rammed by police and he surrendered. The officials spoke on condition of anonymity as they were not authorized to speak publicly about the matter. The manhunt for the 2 brothers had entered its 3rd day. The fugitive's brother and fellow suspect Damien Sanderson, 30, was found dead Monday near the stabbing site. Police are investigating if Miles Sanderson, 32, killed his brother. The stabbing rampage had raised questions of why Miles Sanderson, an ex-con with 59 convictions and a long history of shocking violence, was out of those streets in the first place. He was released by a parole board in February while serving a sentence of over 4 years on charges that include assault and robbery. But he had been wanted by police since May, apparently for violating the terms of his release, though the details were not immediately clear. His long and lurid rap sheet also showed that 7 years ago he attacked and stabbed one of the victims killed in the weekend rampage, according to court records. Canadian Public Safety Minister Mark Mendicino said there will be an investigation into the parole board's assessment of Sanderson.
60, Saskatchewan.
The Under-Secretary General for Political Affairs Wednesday briefed the United Nations Security Council on the toll the war in Ukraine is having on the country's civilians. The United States and Albania requested a meeting over concerns about reports of forced displacement of Ukrainian civilians and the use of filtration operations by Russian and Russian-affiliated forces.
And Ms. Alexandra Drik.
Ukrainian officials have alleged that Russian authorities are forcibly deporting Ukrainian civilians, including children, from occupied areas such as the Donbas region in the east and the city of Mariupol in the south, to Russia or to the Russian-held territory inside Ukraine.
The war has also continued to drive large-scale displacement. Over 6.9 million people are internally displaced, a jump of 330,000 since my last briefing. Most of the newly displaced are coming from eastern and southern Ukraine. The current number of Ukrainian refugees recorded across Europe has surpassed 7 million, up from 6.7 million just 2 weeks ago. Ukrainian women, who constitute half of these refugees, continue to face significantly increased security risks, including sexual and gender-based violence, trafficking, exploitation, and abuse.
Russia has denied these allegations, arguing that it has offered humanitarian assistance to civilians fleeing the violence and that the Ukrainian civilians who have relocated to Russia have done so voluntarily. De Carlo also told the Council that the fact-finding mission to Olenivka to investigate the death of 53 Ukrainian prisoners of war must have safe, secure and unfettered access to people, places and evidence.
Mr. President.
Now let's take a look at our regular feature on sports. France TFO produced a ruthless performance to beat 9th seed Russia Andrei Rublev and become the first American man to reach the US Open semi-finals since Andy Roddick in 2006. The 24-year-old stunned Rafael Nadal in the previous round, but showed few signs of fatigue as he went toe-to-toe with his opponent from the outset. With few opportunities created in the opening 2 sets, both culminated in tie breaks, where TFO played the crucial points better, enabling him to take a 2-set advantage.
Man, this is wild. This is crazy. Having the biggest win of my life 24 hours ago and coming back and getting another big win. Andre's a hell of a player. But to back it up is huge. That's huge growth. It's tough to turn the page, but I did, and now I'm in the semis.
The solitary break of serve came in the 7th game of the 3rd set for the 22nd seed to lead 4-3. Rublev was unable to come back, with TFO closing out the match with an ace, fitting given that his power on serve had underpinned much of his performance. Andy Roddick was the last US man to get to the semifinals at Flushing Meadows when he lost to Roger Federer in the title match 16 years ago. Roddick also was the last man from the country to win any Grand Slam singles championship, taking the 2003 US Open. TFO's first career Grand Slam semi-final will come Friday against number 3 Carlos Alcaraz or number 11 Jannik Sinner. Colombia's Rigoberto Urán won the 17th stage of the La Vuelta on Wednesday to complete a personal Grand Slam of Grand Tour stage wins in a thrilling finale. Rigoberto Urán won stage 17 of the Vuelta a España on Wednesday after a swashbuckling high-altitude struggle to a mountaintop monastery in Extremadura as the defending champion Primož Roglič withdrew injured. Aiming for a 4th straight Vuelta, Roglič was a non-starter due to injuries from a fall Tuesday when he was trying to gain time on the race leader Remco Evenepoel, who Wednesday lost 5 seconds to his close rival Movistar's Enric Mas. The Belgian leads by 2 minutes 1 second with 19-year-old Juan Ayuso of United Arab Emirates in 3rd. We have to do something, Massa, a 2-time Vuelta runner-up, said, already thinking about the 4 peaks on Thursday, stage 18. Colombia's Urán was completing a collection of stage wins in all 3 of cycling's Grand Tours. The 35-year-old, a previous runner-up on both the Tour de France and the Giro d'Italia, was among a long-range escape who began an internecine struggle up to the final slope with the lead changing hands several times. It's beautiful to win in the Vuelta, said Urán. I've been looking for this win for years. We always have to believe and fight, even if sometimes the result seems far off, he said. The 22-year-old Belgian Evenepoel enjoyed a lead of almost 3 minutes at one point early in the race, but suffered the loss of crucial teammate Julian Alaphilippe to injury. Stage 18 and 20 feature multiple mountains, when Mas will hope to attack Ulaanbaatar. In the fight for the green sprint points, Jersey Denmark's Matt Pedersen now has 349 points to Fred Wright's 149. Australian Jay Vine of Alpecin retains the polka dot jersey after his 2 mountain stage wins and has a good chance of keeping it all the way to Madrid. Here's the weather forecast of all major cities. Well, that's all for today, and thank you for staying with us. We will see you tomorrow with news and updates. Have a nice evening. Goodbye.